Don't you think? Here's the thing. I feel that we're constantly being insulted. The public is being insulted because they don't think we could handle information like that because we're a bunch of, torch wielding, let's find, running down the road, ready to, to attack somebody. So they're afraid that if they mention Muslim, there's going to be a backlash. But there's not a backlash.
I don't think there's going to be a backlash. Well, first off, I think that our efforts in identifying and preventing these attacks are working because you're starting to see this pattern where you have a lone terrorist that wants to kill people, but he's stopped, he doesn't accomplish his goal. That's very important, especially here, because he was a Marine. He could have done a lot of damage. He has access to a lot of very sensitive information. As far as what we should label him, I don't see a problem in calling it what it is. If he was a militant Christian like Scott Roeder, call it that. That's
but this relativism
if it was a militant
ridiculous.
Muslim like here, I don't have a problem with calling it that because I think it's very clear that there's a distinction between these religious, crazy fundamentalists and everyday, average, law-abiding Muslims.
Yeah, but I get it, but the relativism is a little thin. Let's face it. There's a lot more of that than there is of the one guy, the guy that blows up an abortion clinic. But you've got an entire ideology that is preaching death.
Yes.
It's a death cult. The radical Islam is a death cult.
Yeah.
But this is what I was trying to get to earlier before I put my foot in my mouth was
deliciously, I might add.
Was the point is I've never heard the interest in focusing on this. In any other case, even when people were, when the abortion clinic stuff was in the news.
Oh, the far right always gets nailed for stuff like this.
But I mean,
think about the Gifford case. That was like, it's got to be hardcore right wing, wacko.
Do you think that there was ever a clamoring, like for the abortion thing, for instance?
Yeah.
Do you think there was ever a clamoring? Because I don't remember it being like clamoring like this, saying we have to focus in on these right wing Christians that are attacking abortion doctors. When there was the high school shootings, nobody was going, we need to focus on young white male children in high school.
Well, the high school, two things. I disagree with you. I think whenever there's an abortion shooting, they bring up far-right Christians. Teenagers, they always bring up heavy metal. They always bring up bullying. They always have the bugaboos.
Well, I'm not saying you shouldn't bring it up. I'm not saying that you should ignore the scribblings in his book. Without question, that should be brought up. What I'm saying is it a reason to start to freak out and worry about more fundamentalist Muslim people?
I think you should always. I think you should be. I think I think America is always concerned about that. And the fact is, we keep getting these people, which keeps proving the point that it's there. And I do think the administration is doing, and what they're trying to do is do the job without making it obvious they're doing the job.
I think there's a lot of political correctness is going on.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah, I mean, when we stopped calling it terrorism, when we started calling it, what is it called, man-caused actions or something like that? I don't know.
Isn't the real story here that guy looks exactly like Pedro Martinez?
If
you put some Jerry curl on him and gave him a little midget sidekick, they would be inseparable.
That was actually, we were going to focus the story on that.
I thought we veered away from the subject at hand, Greg.
I know. I got carried away.
Focus, people.
I have problems. All right. Coming up, why do old creepy men stare at me at bars? Almost said something else. We discuss Carrie Keegan's new book, Please Die, Wrinkly Men. But first,
terrible.
What's Al Gore up to? Oh, about 4 tubs of Ben & Jerry's a night. Yeah, it was cheap. I know, but it's late. And I want to go home. You guys having lovey-dovey talk? I hear you guys making plans.
He's sort of asking me out, but not really, and then he's kind of taking it back. Well, I got time to kill if you want to. Shut up.
Yeah, if you're gonna ask somebody out, you don't say I have time to kill, Joe.
You also don't go in the middle of a TV show. Hey, want to go out?
Well, you could.
You got to make it look,
All right, I'm gonna go.
He's gonna try and do this whole thing during the show to watch.
You got some time? I got some time to come. Looking to fill up some broads.
Wait, what?
All right, thank you for that. Okay, to the story. Can you become uncorked by living in New York? Well, research has shown that living in big cities like New York, and also New York, increases the risk of depression and anxiety, and that schizophrenia rates are higher among urban dwellers. But now a brain imaging study has shown that city stress actually changes your brain in a way that I totally understand, but I don't have time to explain it to you, you jerks. One researcher blames it on a higher amount of social stress found in the city and advises taking a vacation to get away from the anxiety. Well, thanks for that, a-hole. Anyway, speaking of recreation, here's how I like to relax. You know, it makes me look taller.
Yeah, it does.
It adds,
Can we just see you do one? Just one.
No. I've got to be in the costume, Carrie. Got to be in the costume.
Sorry. It's the loincloth that really makes it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like Samson's hair. Masa, does New York create crazy people, or does it attract people who are more likely to become crazy? Do you know what I mean?
I think it does attract people that like a lot of, hustle and bustle of the city. This is not politically correct, and I didn't plan on saying this, but I'm going to be honest. I think people that are raised in New York always end up being just a little bit, kookier than people who are raised in the South.
I don't know how that was politically incorrect. I thought you were going to go racist on us. I know this is politically incorrect, but I don't like Jewish people. I thought that's what she was going to say. I'm going
You know what I hate about New York? Greg, minorities.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I was just going,
right. That they're crazy. You grew up in the city, you're crazy. You have too much sex, too much drugs, and it makes you a little crazy.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Yes. Joe, I've seen your act many times.
No, you haven't.
No, I haven't. I've seen it once.
Right, yeah,
but I noticed you do a whole bit on this.
Yeah.
Is that a good setup?
Thank you, Greg. No, well, we don't have time for the whole bit, but it's. I mean, New York doesn't, New York doesn't stress me out. I mean, I love it here. I love paying 3 times the rent for 1/10 of the space and not being able to afford the premium cable channels because it costs $4.99 a pound for tomatoes at my grocer and paying $6 for a Pabst. And I just don't feel, and see how this place stresses people out. There's nothing stressful about walking down a street every day where crazy people try to pee on, bite, or stab you at any minute.
And that's actually just Bill when you're walking by. Carrie, you live in LA.
I do.
But it's a little different. Cities are cities generally the same in the sense that because you're around so many people, it just makes life ugly. Isn't it all about the number of people?
But there's crazy everywhere, Greg.
Yes.
But New York people are crazy together.
Yes.
And LA people are crazy in their car.
Yeah, that is true.
And so there's a whole thing that goes on in your own head for a while when you live in LA.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
It's more isolating. And you really feel kind of like the worthlessness of being on this planet.
Well, you have to tell yourself you suck, rather when people on the street tell you suck. So, it's a whole different suck.
There you go. Speaking of, Bill, you don't live in the city. You actually live on the city, the streets specifically. How has that changed you?
I like to keep close to the people, find out what's going on. You know what stresses me out about New York? People talking about how much they're stressed out about New York. If you don't like the city, please let me show you the door to New Jersey. The stressful things that happen to me happen outside of the city when I leave my home. See the stress fracture on my foot. This never would have happened here because I don't drive a car.
Yeah, and that was in no way caused by you. You're the only man in the history of the planet who got hit by a car he was in.
Yes. I was excited to get my beef jerky, and I couldn't wait for the car to stop.
This is an unbelievable. I mean, you talk about. How do you get run over by a car that you're in?
It wouldn't have happened if it was a friendly, although non-English speaking cab driver.
Yes.
When they stop, they say stopped.
Yeah. All I know is the difference between the cities and suburbs is in the suburbs you may be bored, but in the cities you're fed up. That's the difference. I like being bored. I lived in the suburbs for 10 years. I enjoyed driving to the market and mowing your lawn. But you're slightly bored. In New York, you're never bored. You're just fed up.
You're fed up, but that's part of the rush of the city. It's like what Bill said with the energy, the stress. The suburbs are a place, the suburbs say to you, let's take some drugs. You know what I mean? And lay around. And New York is like, let's take some drugs and stand right on the edge of the roof of the building and close our eyes and see what happens. You know what I mean? So it's kind of part of it.
I hear what you're saying. The suburbs are pot. New York's cocaine.
Yeah. So, Carrie, I guess you know what you're looking forward to later tonight with him.
I'm ready.
All right. Do you have a comment on the show? Email us. It's redeye@foxnews.com. And to leave a voicemail on my direct line, 212-462-5050. Still to come, the halftime report from TV's Andy Levy. Welcome back. Let's find out if we've got anything wrong so far. For that, we go to TV's Andy Levy. Everything okay, Andy?
No, everything is not okay, Greg.
What happened?
What happened? What happened is that some guy knocked Justin Bieber to the ground outside the big Macy's by Penn Station, Greg.
What? When was this?
It was earlier on Thursday. Justin had just finished unveiling his new fragrance, Someday, inside the store, which, by the way, wonderful fragrance. And then, because he's awesome, he wanted to spend some time outside with his fans.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't understand why bad things happen to good people, Greg.
Well, you know who I blame, Andy? Selena Gomez.
What does she have to do with it?
Come on, Andy. You and I both know that Justin is way too good for her. Because if Justin was with the right person, this never would have happened.
Yeah, and maybe, Greg, a short, angry, middle-aged talk show host wouldn't have attacked him.
Get on with halftime.
Fine. But know that I will be filing a police report after the show.
Oh, well, you know what? You have every right to do that.
Yes, I do.
Just don't show up tomorrow for work.
And I will exercise that right. Southwest pilot's rant. Joe, you said if you think you're speaking in private, that needs to be taken into account. Is that something you want to tell us?
No, not at all.
No.
And if I did, I wouldn't tell it to you.
Wow.
You can't say that.
You just did it.
Also, do you think airline pilots make 37 grand a year?
I correct myself, 27 grand.
Yeah. I believe a Southwest Airlines captain with 12 years experience makes around 14 grand a month.
Wow! No way, really?
I think that was
All
back
right.
like 10 years ago.
No.
I apologize.
We're putting all the money they save on pretzels.
Carrie, here's what gets me. This guy, this pilot, seems shocked to discover he was surrounded by gay flight attendants.
Right? Where has he been for the last 5 years?
He's been on planes. How does he not know?
Yes.
He obviously doesn't leave his little area.
I guess
you know,
not.
it is like, like I said before, he missed out on a tremendous,
absolutely.
advantage.
Yep.
He had all of those guys here to help him.
Absolutely.
Take him to the best bars.
Yeah. He should come visit us.
Yes, he should.
We could do the
I
same
don't want
thing.
him, though.
We could do the same thing.
He's a disgusting man.
Masa, you said what you want in a pilot is you just want someone who's well rested, someone to get you safely from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Did you listen to the tape? That guy is so sexually frustrated, there's no telling what he'll do with that plane.
That's true. That's true. But I was basing it on his record, 12 years, getting there
Right,
safe.
but apparently 12 years is a long time.
It is.
I'm not getting on a plane with that guy.
He's very frustrated.
Plus, how would you feel in all seriousness? How would you feel if you were part of his flight crew, like going forward?
I'd probably tell him off. He'd be
Yeah.
scared of me.
Yeah. Okay.
I know.
All right.
He's gross. Icky.
Yeah.
But by the way,
Yeah.
the pilot was, as you guys discussed, he was forced to go through diversity training, so he's probably been punished enough.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
By the way, I love the sound of the air traffic controller. His tone, almost trying to help him.
Oh,
like,
yeah, absolutely.
Shut up, buddy.
Yeah.
I like that part because it was just like, it's like he'd been there before or something. Or he'd heard it before.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, this happens all the time.
Yeah. We got another keyed mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. It's like if you're on Twitter and you see someone tweet and you know it was meant as a direct message, a private message, and you see it publicly and you like I think you might want to try that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single example of that.
No, that never happens.
Yes.
Yeah. Greg, you mentioned that your notebooks contain reams of sketches you made of Clive Owen.
Yes.
And you said you'd show them to the viewers, but they're highly personal.
They are.
Well, you showed them to me, and I just have to say that they're some of your finest work, and I do think you should share them with the world.
Really?
Yeah. Well, the level of detail is astounding. In some of them, it's almost like you were right behind Clive Owen when you drew them.
No, there's some free time I had over the summer
Yeah.
where I was able to locate through the DMV exactly where he's sunbathed.
Sure. Through your connections.
Yes.
Yeah.